you've gotten a lot farther than you should have. But then you haven't met Frank Horrigan either. Your ride's over, Mutie. Time to die.
Fallout 2 is one of the most influential RPGs of the late 90s. A game that, along with its predecessor, helped shape the role-playing genre into what it is today. Its greatest strength lies in the writing, from the main storyline and dozens of memorable side quests to unique characters and engaging, often darkly humorous dialogue. The story takes place in the year 2241, 79 years after the events of the first game, and 164 years after the nuclear war, which reduced most of the world into a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Just like in Fallout 1, the game begins with a short intro. The elder of your village explains that your people are dying and tasks you with finding something called the Garden of Eden Creation Kit, or GEC, a device said to have the power to bring life back to the wasteland. But before you can set out, you must first prove yourself in the Temple of Trials, which serves as a kind of tutorial area. The temple is crawling with giant ants and rad scorpions. Taking them down can be tricky, especially if you didn't invest points into strength, unarmed, or melee weapons. Unlike the first game, where your starting gear partly depends on your tag skills and you always begin with a 10mm pistol, Fallout 2 starts you off with just a spear and some healing powder. Luckily, you don't have to kill everything in the temple to move on, and you can simply return later for the experience once you're stronger and better equipped. At the temple's exit, you'll meet Cameron, who challenges you to an unarmed duel as your final test. You can either fight him or, if your speech skill is high enough, convince him to let you pass peacefully. Back in the village, the elder congratulates you and rewards you with a vault suit and a Pip-Boy 2000, both belonging to the original protagonist from Fallout 1, who also happens to be the founder of your village. Arroyo, your home, has a few optional side quests too. Clearing spore plants from the village healer's garden, rescuing your cousin's dog, fixing the village well, or finding some flint to sharpen your spear. Once you're done there, the main quest begins, tracking down the GEC. The elder suggests your first lead, Vic, a trader who deals in pre-war relics, located in the nearby town of Klamath. The journey to Klamath takes about 5 days. Vic's shack is right on the edge of town, and you can loot the place for a few stim packs, a broken radio, a pipe rifle, and some ammo. After chatting with a few locals, you'll learn that Vic hasn't been seen in Klamath for a while. Apparently, he's being held somewhere in the den. Before heading there, though, you can take on a few side quests and even recruit your first companion, Sulik. Sulik is a tribal warrior searching for his missing sister, who was kidnapped by slavers. He's skilled with fists, spears, sledgehammers, and submachine guns. Unlike the first game, companions play a much bigger role in Fallout 2. You can change their armor, which becomes crucial later in the game, and customize their combat behavior, like whether they prefer melee or ranged weapons, and how often they use stim packs or chems. Companions can also level up, making them even more effective in battle. In total, there are 14 possible companions in Fallout 2. The number you can have at once depends on your charisma, maxing out at 5 followers. Some of the most iconic ones include Marcus, a super mutant and former soldier in the Master's Army, now serving as the sheriff of Broken Hills. He even makes a cameo in Fallout New Vegas. Myron, a teenage chemist and sleazebag who supposedly created Jet. He's voiced by the same actor as Boone from New Vegas. John Cassidy, an experienced wastelander and shotgun expert who runs a bar in Vault City. Fans of New Vegas might recognize his daughter, Cass. And of course, there are some wild options too, like a talking Deathclaw and a robotic dog. Once you're done in Klamath, your next stop is the Den. The Den is pretty much an anarchic wasteland town. No law, no order. The streets are filled with junkies, slavers, and pickpocketing kids who'll try to rob you the moment you step inside certain buildings. Among several interesting quests here, you'll meet Smitty, the local mechanic. He owns a nearly functional highwayman, the only drivable car in the game. If you can bring him a fuel cell regulator, which can be found in the nearby town of Gecko, and pay him 2,000 caps, he'll repair it for you. Once you've got the car, Traveling across the world map becomes much faster and safer. Your search for Vic eventually leads you to the Slavers Guild, a major organization in the Den run by a man named Metzger. He tells you that Vic's alive, locked up in a cell, fixing one of his broken radios. You're free to talk to him. Vic begs you to help him escape. He explains that he needs spare parts from his old shack back in Klamath. If you already looted them earlier, you can hand them over right away. Once you inform Metzger, you've got a few options. You can buy Vic's freedom for 1,000 caps, or go in guns blazing and wipe out the entire slaver camp. It's a tough fight, but with some psycho and decent gear, it's doable even at lower levels. After freeing Vic, he mentions that Vault City might be your best lead in tracking down Vault 13. He also asks to join your group, and he's a solid addition. Vic's a decent shot, and his repair skills make him surprisingly useful on the road. Vault City lies far to the east near the edge of the map. The locals will tell you there's a real, functioning vault at the center of the city, but only citizens are allowed inside. There are 2 ways to become a citizen. The official method is to take the citizenship test, but it's notoriously difficult, and chances are you'll fail. The alternative is to talk to First Citizen Joanne Lynette, the city's strict and rather arrogant leader. She offers you citizenship if you can solve a problem with the nearby Gecko power plant. According to Lynette, the plant is leaking radioactive coolant that's contaminating Vault City's groundwater. The town of Gecko, however, is inhabited by ghouls, and not surprisingly, Lynette doesn't have much sympathy for them. When you visit Gecko, you'll find 2 ways to handle the situation. You can destroy the reactor, which worsens the contamination and kills all the ghouls. Or you can help the ghouls repair the power plant, stopping the leak and creating peace between the 2 towns. Even if you take the peaceful route, Lynette will still be furious. She's a bit of a bigot who despises mutants and ghouls alike. But if you explain the situation to Councilmember McClure, he'll recognize your effort and grant you citizenship anyway. Becoming a Vault City citizen comes with some nice perks: free medical treatment and access to skill books and other supplies at the local amenities office. After searching the city's central computer, however, you'll find no trace of Vault 13. The only reference you uncover is about Vault 15, located not far from the NCR. There are actually 3 possible ways to find the legendary Vault 13, but the simplest, and the one that doesn't require any skill checks, takes you to the New California Republic, formerly known as Shady Sands from the first game. Here you can meet a man named Salt Beef Bob. If you give him some booze, he'll share an interesting story. While prospecting for uranium west of the NCR, he was attacked by deathclaws and took refuge in a nearby cave, where he found a giant steel door marked with the number 13. He made a map of the location, but by the time he staggered back to NCR, he was on the verge of death. The local doctor, Jubilee, saved his life, but according to Bob, also stole his map. If you ask Jubilee about it, he'll offer to sell you a fuzzy painting for $10,000. It's expensive, but by this stage of the game, you're probably swimming in cash. You can also pay him and then steal your money back if you're feeling cheeky. On the back of the painting, you'll find a map leading to Vault 13, located just a few squares west of the NCR, just like in the original Fallout. Inside Vault 13, you'll discover it's now inhabited by intelligent, talking deathclaws. Their leader, Gruthar, insists they're peaceful and explains that they found the vault empty. The original inhabitants are long gone. When you ask about the Gek, he initially claims he doesn't know what it is. But after helping him repair the vault's broken computer, he finds one stored in a locker and gives it to you. Of course, you can also choose to steal the Gek if you'd rather skip the helping part. With the Gecko in hand, it's time to return home to Arroyo. But when you finally return there, the sight that greets you is heartbreaking. The village lies in ruins, and the only survivor is the dying healer, Hakun. With his last breath, he tells you that the village was attacked. The people were taken, but no one knows why. Before he passes, he reminds you of your duty. You are the chosen one, and you must save them. Eventually, you learn that the attack was carried out by a powerful organization known as the Enclave, the remnants of the old United States government. They have access to incredibly advanced technology, and their goal is nothing short of reclaiming and controlling the wasteland. Their main base is located on a massive oil rig a few miles off the coast of San Francisco. The only way to reach it is by sea, using an old tanker docked at the San Francisco harbor. Once you track down the necessary parts and repair the ship, you can set sail for the final mission. The oil rig is crawling with Enclave soldiers, armed with high-tier weapons and power armor. If you go in guns blazing, prepare for one of the toughest fights in the game. Stock up on stim packs, psycho, and plenty of jet before heading out. Alternatively, if you manage to steal or acquire Enclave power armor earlier at the Navarro base, you can use it as a disguise to sneak through much of the rig, avoiding heavy combat. Inside, you'll find the captured villagers of Arroyo, along with some of the surviving inhabitants of Vault 13, imprisoned and used for twisted experiments. When you finally meet the Elder, she urges you to destroy the facility by disabling the reactor. Doing so will also shut down the cell force fields and allow everyone to escape. On the lower levels, you'll encounter President Richardson, the leader of the Enclave. You can talk to him and learn more about the organization's long-term plans for the wasteland. If you decide to kill him, you can take his presidential access key, which will come in handy later. After that, it's time to blow up the reactor. Set the explosives and make your way to the exit. You'll have 10 minutes before the entire rig goes up in flames. But before you escape, there's one last obstacle. Frank Horrigan, the game's final boss. If your speech skill is high enough, you can convince a few nearby Enclave soldiers to turn on him and help you in the fight. And if you picked up the presidential access key, you can also use a nearby terminal to activate the counterinsurgency protocol, turning the rig's turrets against Horrigan. After a brutal battle, Horrigan meets a fittingly gruesome end, clearing the way to the exit. All that's left is to sit back and enjoy the ending cutscene. Unlike the first game, Fallout 2 actually lets you keep playing after the ending. The world remains mostly the same, though now a few characters will comment on your victory over the Enclave. You can wrap up unfinished quests, explore freely, or just see what kind of chaos you can still cause in the wasteland. You'll even find a few post-game bonuses, like free services in New Reno and a gift from Father Tully, who hands you a special manual that boosts all your skills to 300. A nice little reward for saving the world. Even decades later, Fallout 2 stands as one of the most ambitious and unforgettable RPGs ever made. A true classic that pushed the series to new heights. If you haven't experienced it yet, it's absolutely worth revisiting the wasteland for this one. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more retro RPG reviews.